Don't let politics just be up to your grandparents and and parents. Like this is your life too. And I fucking I support the hell out of that. Me personally, I never lived my life that way. You know, I turned 18, graduated high school, and went into the military. Got out of the military. Started working at a metal fabricating company. Grabbed my VA disability. And that's basically what I've been sitting on for the past fucking 6 years. So when I say I really don't need to come out here and say my fucking 2 cents, I don't. And um, but I'm going to in honor of Kurt because he did something that fuck, dude, I half-ass jealous of. Right? He sacrificed himself for American values. He laid down the biggest sacrifice, which was his life, supporting our Constitution rights, right? Or not the Constitution, right? But freedom of speech, right? A part of our freedom of speech has died with him, which I mean, that's crazy. I never realized how important he was to be going out into public places and having these discussions publicly, right? And it's kind of like a measuring factor of how fucked are we, right? Kurt's still able to go to UCLA and give a talk without getting his throat slit. Um, Hopefully that could happen elsewhere, right? Um, well, now we know how far it's gotten. Without further ado, I'll stop sharing my 2 cents and I'm gonna do a reaction to somebody who does share their 2 cents quite often, and I agree with them. So,
Hey guys, it's me again, and it's been a little while. Just before I get into the main topic of the video, I want to explain why there haven't been any videos. My dad has been in the hospital for the better part of a week now. Very serious situation. It has required my full attention. And because of that, I've been on calls, I've been dealing with other people, talking to members of the family, and doing everything that I need to be there for my dad and for my family during this situation. And
mm.
because of that, I haven't been live and I haven't made a lot of videos. I apologize for that. Hopefully, I'll be back as soon as possible. That
First off, you don't have to apologize about that. Second off, good luck. Um, Good health to your father and everything.
That being said, we had something insane happen today, and I was able to break away a little bit earlier, and I wanted to make a video about it and talk about the obvious and inevitable nature of the assassination of Charlie Kirk. This happened a few hours ago, and it was probably one of the most gruesome and graphic, and this is coming from somebody who grew up on LiveLeak, videos I've ever seen. The first time I saw a video, I thought it was AI generated. The guy gets shot in the neck and blood is spurting out. I didn't even know it could do that, and it was absolutely
I want to say it's like 7 seconds on a fully slit artery. So
fucking horrifying to see something like that happen in front of a massive audience of people. Now, if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, Charlie Kirk has been a pretty noteworthy, like controversial guy. He's a conservative. He goes to a lot of college campuses, does live debates. This is a pretty popular format nowadays, and Charlie Kirk has been popularizing it and utilizing it now for many years. And he was even featured in South Park recently because of it. Charlie Kirk definitely is not a super radical right wing person, but I would say that he's more of the moderate to, kind of extreme right wing. Very, very, I would say, lukewarm, though, in my opinion, at least, especially, and this is where we're going, especially compared to now.
before he gets into that, some of the things that Charlie Kirk was known for was his views on gays. Okay, and here's a gay boy, right? Let's
I'm
see
a gay conservative,
see how
and
his
I just want to
reaction
kind of
is.
ask you, like, what do you have to say for people like me who kind of feel like, I guess, it's kind of hard for gay conservatives because there's not a lot of us. So, like, what do you have to say to other gay people who need to realize, like, they do have a choice? Like,
Yeah, first of all, welcome to the conservative movement. I don't think you should introduce yourself just based on your sexual
no,
attractions.
I agree. I like
because that's not who you are.
I like to be thought of as a person, and
For sure, you are a complete human being, and I'm sure you treat people well, and you're studying something. So I want to get away with this idea that you're gay anything. I just think that we have gone a long way in the negative direction in this country, where we act as if the most important part of your identity is what you do in the bedroom. It doesn't mean that much to me, but if you ask from a perspective as a Christian, I don't agree with that lifestyle, but politics is about addition and multiplication. I imagine you agree with a lot of what we talk about.
Absolutely.
Right? Strong borders, strong country, and for that, we welcome you into the conservative movement.
thank you.
And you know what? I'm gonna make this gay stuff really fucking easy. Okay. I've been in a relationship with a dude for 5 years. Not just a relationship, a marriage for a year and a half. Okay. And I love him very much. Life partner. We're building our life together. With that being said, being gay is a sin, right? If everybody was gay, we would have a problem. We would have a problem with existing, and that's not good, right? So anything that takes away from the family values is a problem. Can you build family values while being gay? Nope. Right? Not without the help of your straight community, right? Your straight community can support you, but all gay community cannot support itself. Unless you're going to be in some weird dystopian shit where you force people to have kids. It's like that'd be like some no, I can't think of the fucking Firebird, the Phoenix lady. With the bow and arrow. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, this is how he would react to gay people.
That's really weird. Not your character, not how you treat other people, not your relationship with
Wait a second.
your sexual behavior is the most important thing to you. That's really weird. Not your character, not how you treat other people, not your relationship with the divine. Before the fall is pride. Pride goeth before the fall and before destruction. Your sexual behavior.
So his religious stance was as the Bible says it, right? And here's the thing. My argument to him would be, we're all human. All humans fail, right? We all sin. And the process isn't to judge one another or try to fix one another. It is to convince one another that Jesus is king. He died for our sins. He went to hell and he cleared it, and he cleared all sin, and he carried all sin with him to hell. And it was answered for back then. And now he holds the key to, salvation. And through him, you can find salvation. That is the, end all be all, right? You might need salvation because you lust over women. You might need salvation because you lust over man. You need salvation because you lust. How about that?
And what I think is going to happen now, because obviously these shootings like this don't really happen inside of a vacuum, and they never do, they never have. And I think that the situation that we have right now is that there is a tremendous amount of political violence that is advocated for, promoted, and allowed to exist on social media that has turned up the temperature in all political conversations, all social conversations, and all discourse on the internet in general, to a point where it's almost unrecoverable. You have people that are out there all the time advocating for violence, advocating for people to get killed. Somebody needs to take care of this guy. Somebody needs to deal with this. I wish he were dead. Won't somebody do it? The 80s.
Take a look at this. Here we have a perfect example of what Asmongold's talking about. Jack Black, Tenacious D, and Kyle Glass.
Make a wish, don't miss Trump next time.
Don't miss Trump next time. Jack Black, followed by hundreds of millions. Laughing. Gurgle laugh. Gives a fat thank you. Yes. Yes. That is what's happening.
4647, all of the crypto messaging and all the doxing, right? Why do you dox somebody? Why do you post a person's home address? It's to make other people that are insane, like the person who killed Charlie Kirk, it's to give them the ammunition they need to kill that person and to put that person's life in danger. That's why they're doing it. And so that's the reason why they want to find out the identities of ICE agents. That's the reason why they want to find out the identities of Tesla owners, like at the beginning of the year. It's so they can destroy their car and destroy their lives. And this isn't necessarily a one-sided thing. I think that in the last 5 years or so, especially since BLM, it's been a like 90% left-wing thing. But that doesn't mean that the 10% right-wing people are right either. But I do think that now you're going to see a lot more right-wing people balancing out those scales.
Yeah, I think looks like he's about to sneeze. There you go. I think that you're right, Asbin. I mean, honestly, where we're headed is a lot of right-winged people that probably weren't crazy are going to seem crazy, right? And where you could get a right-winged person would go out and do some horrific crime, and it was kind of obvious that they're not right-wing, they're literally just mentally deranged. What we saw today was an individual who was able to think of a plan and like get it done. And they're not caught yet, right? That wound, very big wound, right? I don't think that happens from a close shot. Had to be a good distance away, clearing the entire like lane, you know. And the worst part about it is there's gotta be college students who heard it in a building, and they're none of them are saying anything, right? So like there wasn't a big push from the right, and to assume that there's going to be a big push from the right isn't out of reach. And who knows what that looks like at this time, you know?
The fact is that you can take a knife to a gunfight all you want, and you can think that you're honorable, but you're going to end up being dead. And I think that's what right-wing people have done for
take a sword to a gunfight. So I got kicked out.
For a very long time. They've tried to speak above the political violence. They've tried to advocate above it and not try to stoop down to that level. But the issue is that a lot of these social media companies have expressed literally zero desire to even do.
If we all agree killing Nazis is okay, right? Look, freedom of speech, me personally, if you're a Nazi, you should have the ability to express that freedom of speech, even though you might sound like an asshole. You might be wrong, right? Totally wrong. But you can still say those things. Now, if we all want to agree that we kill Nazis, fair, fine, whatever, right? My whole point was I joined the military. I do what my country wants. My country wants to kill Nazis. We're going to kill Nazis. We're going to classify somebody a Nazi, we kill them. So if you are classifying me as a Nazi when I'm not a Nazi, though, but we kill Nazis and you're trying to call me one, I mean, like, that is, at what point are you threatening my life? Right?
To the bare minimum of moderation. I think that two of the worst actors are Twitter or X and Reddit. Both of these platforms are full of a bunch of extremist nut jobs that not only should have their accounts banned, but they should probably be put in mental institutions. And I think that now I find it to be kind of interesting taking a step back for a week or so and seeing how many people are coming around to the inevitable reality that this is the only path forward. There are so many people in society now that are just completely unhinged, under medicated, and really just completely insane that you can't have a person like that running wild out in society. They cause problems for themselves, not to mention everybody else around them. And I think that the society, we need to have an honest conversation about how to deal with these people in a way that, and I'll be real, I don't really care about the people that are crazy. Their well-being and the way that, things are for them. Of course, obviously, I wouldn't want it to be bad.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So when you're talking about these unhinged people on Reddit, when you go on Reddit and you type in 8643, 47, 8647, I think. You go in and you type in the number that's associated with Donald Trump and getting rid of things in the government. You might get 150 updates on a fucking on a like or on a post. And that's going to fill you with dopamine. But and you might not actually be a person who wants to see the president get shot, right? You don't want to be that kind of a person. You're just doing it because it's a meme and you get the updates. Well, you just added yourself, maybe even just a little bit, but you just added yourself to being part of the crowd that crazy people get to disappear in. So if we don't involve ourselves with that, there's not enough crazy people to like blend in. And so there it's obvious. But if we go out there and we're memeing about, you know, people going out and killing, public members of society, then you're going to create a nesting pool where 9,000 people are, just joking around. All it takes is one person to fucking be the problem. And then we got a serious issue because who wants to be a public figure at that point? You got 9,000 people against you. Really, you technically only have one person against you because there's only one person who's killing you. They're just hiding behind 9,000 idiots. So at some point, you have to control the idiots in some way, right? I don't think adding a fucking law is ideal, right? Um, just enforce the rules of don't fucking stalk people. Don't um, call them Nazis whenever we kill Nazis, right? Like the simple things like that.
But it's certainly not important. What's really important is all of the people who aren't crazy, making sure that people that are not crazy, that are good actors, that are law abiding citizens, are able to live a life of peace, a life of prosperity, and a life without fear of going on the subway, for example, as the
I don't think your government should be in the interest of individuals. They should be in the interest of family. Because family is family. Family is the egg of, it's the golden egg of every country. So if you don't have families, you're not doing well. So yeah, I agree.
recent event as well. And I think that every single person in the world deserves to live in a place like that. And I don't want to see
We don't need a government going out and supporting people who want to transition their genders, right? There should be zero government policies that support that. If you want to go do that, then you have tons of money and you're doing cosmetic surgery in the same way that people want to go get their tongues fucking slit, their ears cut off, and their eyes blacked out, right? You're doing it because of that. You're not doing it because it is a medical professional's recommendation.
America turn into a PvP server, and it sure seems like it is. And I think that in order to prevent that from happening, we need to have honest conversations about what do you do with people that get arrested 14 times. And it's not even a question, right? You put them in jail and you throw away the key and you compel them to work, and that way you can make the money back from imprisoning them forever. That's the way that you solve that problem. It's very simple, actually.
Yeah, I mean, that's great and all, but prisons fuel the race issue, right? That's where race politics, I think, fucking is the strongest. That's where these crazy idiots learn it in the first place, and it's either race politics learned personally, or it's race politics learned from, a stepdad that was in prison or some shit like that. And they get this false idea of society and they live their entire lives thinking this bullshit. So I think in prisons we should go back to allowing people who don't want, like, let's say you're just a motivated loser who went out and sold drugs, right? You went out and you're motivated, but you put it in the wrong area. Well, you can put that motivation somewhere good, like the military, and you serve honorably for 10 years, then you're good. Or you could go do your 8 years in the pen. Statistically, that 8 years is going to be like 19 years because you'll probably add charges. But, it is what it is. You can try your chances. Go be a racist, join the fucking nest pool of losers, or have the opportunity to change your life. I think we should go back to that system.
But for some reason, the way that makes people feel has made them unwilling to look at this obvious truth. If you look in history, this is what we've always done in history, and it's because it works. And the problem is that now we have so much of the discourse that's dominated by emotional thinking, that's dominated by the most unstable, the most virtue signal, the most,
race politics, gender politics, and just fucking gay bullshit. That is the topics that have consumed this whole, everything that he's saying.
Ridiculous performative empathy possible, and that's defining a huge political voice in the country.
Performative empathy, that is perfect. So if you come out and you tell me that you have thoughts in your head of you're in the wrong skin, it's performance empathy by me going, oh, well, what would you like me to call you a dude? Does that make you feel better? Like,
this has become a tremendous detriment to everyone. And I think that with people like the shooter that probably shot Charlie Kirk, with that guy in the subway that stabbed that Ukrainian woman, or with that trans shooter that shot up the school, one thing that's common among all of them is that these people, in almost all cases, were verifiably nuts beforehand, and nothing ever was done about it. And until we can stomach the idea of solving problems like that before they happen,
making people accountable for their actions. I mean, the only reason why you go out and you become a drug dealer is because statistically you can do it for a while, and even if you get caught, just get out and you fucking do it again. You go to jail and you get out, and you went to jail and you got all your customers, right? Like, you don't start really making money till you get out of jail. So
we're going to keep having problems. And I think that with Charlie Kirk, it's very obvious that the amount of, political violence and advocating for political violence that's happening on the internet has turned up the temperature and created an environment and a culture where this type of behavior is normal. And not only is it normal, but it's actually encouraged. And the problem is that now people are acting on it. And you're starting to see this happen, and I think it's going to continue getting worse. I don't think Charlie Kirk is going to be the last one, but I think that we will look at Charlie Kirk's death and see it as a turning point in this topic. And what I'm really trying to get at here with this entire point is that right now we are at a extremely pivotal moment. And I think that what's going to end up happening is that right-wing people are not going to continue to turn the other cheek. They're not going to continue to just, oh, well, this is just a crazy left wing radical. I think you're probably going to see right wing people doing the same thing to left wing people. And honestly,
I hope not, brother. I fucking hope not. That is not. Look, as a Marine, I got a lot of hate in my heart. And um, going out and war sounds like a great time, you know? It's worth something. It's worth dying for, right? But against your own people, right? Is crazy. I mean, it seems like the left wants that, you know, and is giving that to them the fucking answer. I don't think so. I hope it's not, right? I hope that's not the conclusion the right comes to. I don't know. This was one of the big questions in the military. How do you fight an ideology? You know? Um, I don't know.
while I don't think this is a good thing, I certainly don't really feel that sorry for them. Because a lot of left wing people have no problem advocating for violence, or at least using coded language in order to advocate for violence. The fact is that there's a certain level of intellectual dishonesty that goes on in situations like this where it's considered, oh, well, this isn't actually what they meant, and no, this is actually some others. No, it is. It's exactly what they mean. They're
You can't be saying, only in Minecraft. Oh, in Minecraft.
trying to advocate for killing people that they disagree with. That's what's happening, and there's no talking around it. And to the extent that you try to, you're insulting the intelligence of anyone that you're speaking to. And I think that now you're going to start seeing a lot of right wing people end up doing this to left wing people now even more, because it's very clear that these social media platforms are not going to moderate this behavior. The FBI, for whatever reason, just refuses to deal with or have any degree of accountability for dealing with these obvious terrorists that are in the country. And because of that, I think you're going to start seeing an uptick of violence from right wing people as well. And this is going to be, in my opinion, I don't really think the word is justified, because it's not justified, but the word is expected. I think it's going to be expected. The fact is that, again, you bring a knife to a gunfight, you're going to lose. And don't be surprised when you keep bringing guns to gunfights and then somebody else decides to start shooting back. I think that's what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a degradation of society as a whole. And ultimately, the real burden of responsibility.
Like I said in the beginning, when Charlie died, that a bit of freedom of speech died with everybody. And when the freedom of speech is attacked, there's something in the Constitution that defends it. So
Here doesn't really fall on influencers, and I don't think that it falls even on the commenters themselves. I think it falls primarily on the government. The fact is that the government, there are already laws that permit, explicit calls to violence. There's already laws that permit the types of stalking and doxing that people engage in online. And
exactly, right? If you're doxing somebody, you are stalking somebody. And if you are going out there and promoting hate speech while also doxing somebody, let's call that what it is. That's you're putting a hit on somebody. Literally. I mean, it's in a really dumb way, but if you go out and you point a gun at somebody and you say it's just a joke, but you get shot because the gun really scared somebody, everyone's going to legally the person who shot you is in the right. So, if we're going to be going by that, if you go out and you create this scenario online, it is what it is. You're making life threats. You're threatening people's lives. And if you think that well, that's too much censorship, no, that's how it should be, right? if you don't want your 13-year-old son getting on the internet saying something stupid, well, limit his access on the internet, right? When we think about the kids on the internet, let's get them off the internet. I don't think this is the place for children to be joining a public place to discuss adult things. You know, it is what it is. We'll continue.
One of the big things that is a misconception is that people like me want new laws. We want any form of extra censorship at all. I certainly don't want that, and I don't know anybody else that does either. But what we do want is we want the existing laws to be applied and to be enforced in an accurate and a fair way, which is clearly not what's happening.
Exactly. So I'm not saying, oh, let's put a restriction. You have to be 16 before you can get online. What I'm saying is when a 14-year-old gets on GTA and sewer slides, you know, that whose fault is that? Is that the people on GTA, or is that the parents who let a kid play an 18-year-old game, right? At some point, there needs to be an accountability that is not punishing the majority rather than the people who aren't paying attention like they should be.
And really, the government not doing that and giving this asymmetrical, in my opinion, advantage to left-wing people to fully and with complete freedom practice genuine terrorism on a daily basis, and then, you know, congratulate each other about how moral and how good they are for doing.
Back to Tenacious D. That what we saw on stage was terrorism. Asking for the president to get shot is terrorism. You watch Hassan Piker's bullshit, guarantee you somewhere in there he is gonna promote terrorism easily.
It because something bad that happened in Palestine or
genuine terrorism, right? This isn't happening in an echo chamber. This isn't happening behind the scenes. There isn't some Illuminati that is causing this shit to happen. It's just happening right in front of you. What the fucking words that enter your ears and you think are ridiculous are entering someone else's, and it is fueling their hate to kill you, right? They're a victim. You're a victim. Who's in charge?
Something bad that Donald Trump did 3 years ago. This is just simply a response. This is what's going to happen. And so, and I think that that's probably what it's going to take for these left-wing people to realize what a bad idea what they've been doing is. Because until it starts happening to them, until they start having people that are their friends or, you know, their, you know, like icons that they look up to, the same way people looked up to Charlie Kirk, you know, until they start seeing those people get killed, I don't think it's really going to be real for them. And unfortunately, I think that's the path that we're headed down because of the government and social media companies and every other seemingly governmental apparatus that is just completely.
God, dude, let me tell you, that just disgusting, absolutely disgusting on what could happen, right? If the right were to really, you know, think, oh, this is a civil war time, right? I don't think we'll get to that point. But if the right were to declare people as, you know, traitors, you know, and they're going against America, and let's say California goes, oh, becomes like some kind of a safety net, right? The push into California to get the people that we want to get would be one of the deadliest, what I probably would be the most deadliest war for Americans, right? Which that title still goes to the Civil War, where it was just only Americans.
Hand-waved this problem and ignored it entirely. So the death of Charlie Kirk and the assassination of him should not come as a surprise to anyone. This should be something that everybody could have expected. All you had to do is read Twitter for an hour and you could have told me this would have happened, of course. Same with Reddit. And until that core problem is addressed, you will continue to see a rapid decline in any type of social discourse. And I'm actually kind of afraid to...
Exactly. What I was saying in the beginning, where this has taken away an ounce of your freedom of speech, my freedom of speech, and everyone else's. You're not going to go out to a restaurant and talk politics with people. You're not going to go talk to your coworkers and ask them about their politics because it's awkward.
See what's going to happen next, because I think it's just going to continue getting worse, and I don't see the reason for it to stop. And so anyway, I want...
Sadly, Charlie promoted against that. He wanted people to have their opinions, to share them, and for people to, collectively think. Let's... Collective shout is so powerful. Imagine if we collectively thought.
I want to make this video because it's obviously a topic that, I've been talking about this a lot for the past few years now, and I was laughed at a lot, and people were telling me it wasn't that big of a deal, and they were joking, they were
big
joking.
Of a deal.
Well, I saw the video, that wasn't a joke. And the reality is that those jokes and everything create a culture and an environment where the actual actions are more permissible. And you also have people that are the ones telling the quote jokes that are talking around just, directly, saying that this is a bad thing and it shouldn't be tolerated for any reason. You have, I don't want to go through a bunch of different names, but anybody, this is the way I look at it, I'm just going to make a categorical judgment here, is that any content creator or anybody like this who has been advocating for violence against a person in an extrajudicial way. I'm not talking about trying people who they disagree with for treason. This is advocating for the judicial process to be used against people they disagree with. I think that's fine. But whenever you have people that are saying things like 8647, or anybody who's advocating for any form of extrajudicial justice...
8647. 86 is a term used to refer to getting rid of, to get trash out, and then 47 is Donald Trump. That is the 47th president. So 8647 refers to getting rid of Donald Trump.
Justice, extrajudicial justice, and basically vigilante justice on people who they disagree with politically. You have to realize that all of those people, I think, have made themselves acceptable targets. And I think that there's a lot and millions of people out there nowadays that see that. And I think that that should be extremely worrying for them. It should be terrifying. But the reality is that they have created that environment themselves through their own actions, through their behavior, and through their own words. You reap what you sow. And I think that things are about to get a whole lot worse. So anyway, guys, I wanted to make this video and talk about it. And that's about all I've got to say. So I hope to be back soon. I'll record videos when I can, here and there. But for the most part, as I said before, my dad has had so many really serious issues going on. I need to devote my full attention to making sure that he's healthy and taken care of. And so as much as I look forward to streaming, this has to take priority. I don't have a time frame. It will probably be a matter of weeks and maybe not even that long.
You gotta honor your dad, man. Gotta honor your dad. You've done a great job, right? Remember the few times that I've seen him pop up on stream. He's a great guy and love his information. So hopefully he pulls through, and good health to both of you.
Until I'm back regularly. And so hopefully that's the case. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. Another senseless death that never needed to happen.
Yes,
and
sir.
I think that anybody who was, talking about this and turning up the heat on any of this type of political rhetoric and discussing, or at least, flirting with the idea of political violence, I think all of those people have made themselves acceptable targets in all of the worst ways possible. And I don't think that this is a good thing either, but I think it's happened. So anyway, guys, thank you all very much for watching, and I guess I'll see you soon. Anyway, peace.
Alrighty. Well, guys, I appreciate making it to the end of the video. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk. You know, honor his memory by staying involved in your community, staying involved in politics, and upholding the right of freedom of speech. To die when you are expressing the First Amendment is quite honestly one of the saddest deaths I can imagine in today's time. So, with that, I have my emotional support here. I suggest you get yours too. And, you know, we're all dealing with something. And if anything else, you can find comfort in the fact that you're not dealing with it alone. Everybody's dealing with something. And, you know, before you turn to take it out on yourself or others, try to find help within yourself. And if you can't do it yourself, find help within others. In the same way that you could easily go out and hurt them, they could easily come in and help you. So take that for what it is, you know. Oh, you fucking dog. Better like this shit. Otherwise, I'm taking you back to the pound. Get rid of you.